You are the architect of your own life, with the power to build it into a masterpiece or to tear it down. Your thoughts are the bricks and mortar of this creation, and it's up to you to ensure you're building wisely. As Emerson wisely said, the power of thought is a spiritual power, the greatest at humanity's disposal. The world we see today is a direct result of the collective thoughts of all mankind. Nations thrive in peace and prosperity, or languish in poverty and conflict, based on their collective mindset. Each individual's life, circumstances, and character are shaped by their thoughts. What you think, you become. Your thoughts are the wellspring of your actions, attracting circumstances and shaping your environment. They determine the company you keep, your happiness or misery, success or failure, health or illness, wealth or poverty, love or hate. Your thoughts can either build your character or destroy it, align you with your destiny or cast you adrift. The power of thought is limitless, a spiritual force of immense potency. It sets humans apart from animals, allowing us to reach for the divine. It empowers the underdog to triumph, enables the highest achievements, and helps overcome obstacles. It can even transform disadvantage into advantage, enriching and invigorating life with God-given power. With thought we bless or curse ourselves. We invite success or failure, health or sickness, joy or sorrow, abundance or scarcity. It all resides within our minds, in the nature of our thoughts. Any disharmony, lack, illness, or unhappiness in our lives stems from discordant thinking. We inhabit an ordered universe, yet we often react inharmoniously to our surroundings. We are out of sync with the hidden laws and order that govern us. The universe doesn't need to change. We do. The root of disorder lies within us, in our individual minds, each of us living in a self-created world. The turmoil and problems that plague us, the lack that limits our lives, can only be overcome by changing our minds, habits of thought, and mental attitudes. By shifting our thoughts and aligning with divine ideas, our lives can blossom like roses. We will be guided in peace, with mountains and hills rejoicing in our path, and all the trees of the field clapping their hands. Chapter 1. The Subconscious Mind, Your Hidden Powerhouse. Within you exist two minds, the conscious and the subconscious. The conscious mind gathers knowledge and experiences through the senses, learning from books, conversations, and life itself. It reasons, draws conclusions, and eventually passes its thoughts to the subconscious. The subconscious is the mind of action, the powerhouse behind everything we do. It's the seat of memory and instinct, a reservoir of tremendous power and extraordinary intelligence. It orchestrates the intricate processes within our bodies that make life possible. Even the wisest scholars can't fully grasp its marvelous capabilities. Yet, we know enough about its workings to control it. And by controlling the subconscious, we control our actions. By controlling our actions, we shape our lives and transcend what is often called destiny. The subconscious mind, though incredibly intelligent and powerful, operates entirely by suggestion. It blindly and faithfully follows the thoughts we send its way. Therefore, our thoughts dictate our actions. Negative thoughts lead to destructive actions, while positive thoughts lead to constructive ones. Thoughts of weakness and failure breed actions that lead to those very outcomes. Conversely, thoughts of strength and success produce actions that pave the path to achievement. It's impossible to harbor negative thoughts and expect positive results. Many have tried, thinking they can maintain a respectable exterior while secretly indulging in harmful thoughts. But the subconscious mind cannot be fooled. Every negative thought acts as a powerful suggestion, eventually erupting into actions that mirror those thoughts. This explains why seemingly exemplary individuals sometimes falter and fall into ruin. They are merely reaping the harvest of their thoughts. While some may lack the courage or opportunity to act on their negative thoughts, the repressed emotions they generate can manifest as chronic or organic illnesses that defy medical treatment. The same law applies to all types of thoughts we send to the subconscious. Constructive thoughts lead to constructive actions, while destructive thoughts lead to destructive ones. If we dwell on negativity, we invite negative outcomes. But if we cultivate positive thoughts even though it requires effort, We set the stage for positive actions and results. A hate-filled, resentful mind might be motivated to violence. However, the same mindset can result in a prosperous and tranquil existence if it is centered on forgiving and kindness. In the same way, a mind that is bolstered by success affirmations will flourish, whereas a mind that is filled with dread and doubt is likely to falter. When the mind is fed with uplifting and upbeat ideas, it becomes an endless supply of bravery and support in trying circumstances. It has been prepared to take on those difficulties head-on. The legislation is set in stone. Every idea we have eventually results in a deed. Furthermore, since our ideas have the power to regulate our life, we may also control our actions. Thought control leads to action control, and action control shapes our lives and surroundings, which in turn shapes our destiny. Life is not a matter of chance or luck. It's largely the result of our thoughts. By controlling our thoughts, a power granted to us as conscious beings made in the image of God, we can steer our lives in remarkable ways. We possess one of the universe's greatest powers, thought. How we utilize this power determines the course of our lives. We can build ourselves up or tear ourselves down. Whether our lives are successful, healthy, and happy, or lacking in true achievement and joy, depends on how we use this power. As we sow, so shall we reap. Chapter 2. Breaking the Cycle of Negative Thinking. Most of us don't intentionally harbor negative thoughts. We have good intentions and want to do and be good. Yet, many of us still fall into negative thinking, not out of malice, but out of ignorance. We simply don't realize how destructive these thoughts can be. We unknowingly indulge in thoughts of impurity, anger, revenge, hate, resentment, envy, dwelling on grievances and past hurts, fears of failure, weakness, lack, illness, decline, mortality, and death. These thoughts are toxic, wreaking havoc on our health, happiness, circumstances, and every aspect of our lives. They fray our nerves, paralyze our efforts, undermine our willpower, and lead to poor decisions. This is a matter of utmost importance, yet children and the general public are rarely educated about it. Due to this widespread ignorance, we continue to engage in negative thinking, much to our detriment. For example, few of us realize that it's often our thoughts, not lack of food, that lead to death in cases of supposed starvation. Yet a person voluntarily fasting for 40 days or more, under proper guidance, can not only survive, but thrive. The difference lies in the state of mind and the nature of thoughts, not the absence of food. Similarly, someone undergoing a voluntary fast often continues their work, experiencing weakness only in the later stages. Contrast this with a starving person who quickly succumbs to exhaustion and death. This highlights the immense influence of mind and thought on our resilience and survival. Our mental and emotional states wield exceptional power over our existence. The right mindset can yield astonishing results, even in the most extreme circumstances. The starving person believes they're dying from lack of food and succumbs to that belief. The fasting person believes they're improving their health and experiencing healing, even overcoming supposedly incurable illnesses. There's also a misconception about our ability to control our thoughts. We can regulate our thoughts like a traffic officer directs traffic, stopping undesirable thoughts and encouraging positive ones. We can deliberately change the subject of our thoughts, just as we change the topic of conversation when it becomes unpleasant. With practice and persistence, anyone can master their thoughts. We don't need to be exceptionally intelligent or gifted. By consistently choosing our thoughts, we become masters of ourselves, and in turn, masters of our lives. Life isn't a matter of chance or luck. It's largely shaped by our thoughts. By controlling our thoughts, we control our actions, and by controlling our actions, we shape our lives and destinies. As conscious beings with the power of thought, we hold the key to a life of health, happiness, and success. The choice is ours. Chapter 3. The Power of Suggestion. We are all susceptible to suggestions, some more than others. Strong-willed and unscrupulous individuals often use this to their advantage, manipulating others for personal gain. Consider a courtroom scene. A lawyer subtly plants a false or misleading suggestion in a witness's mind. potentially undermining their entire testimony. This is a prime example of how a powerful mind can dominate a weaker one through sheer will and suggestion. Hypnotists too harness the power of suggestion. They can convince their subjects that a cold piece of metal is a scorching iron, resulting in real burns and blisters. Or they might suggest that a glass of paraffin is lemonade, leading the subject to drink it with gusto. The power of suggestion can even have deadly consequences. In one chilling anecdote, two respected doctors jokingly told an acquaintance that he was gravely ill and needed bed rest. The man, trusting their medical expertise, went home, took to his bed, and tragically died. We are constantly bombarded with suggestions in our daily lives. Advertisements urge us to try certain products, and eventually we might find ourselves doing just that. We see someone sneezing and instantly think of the flu, potentially manifesting those symptoms ourselves if we're not careful. These illustrations show the tremendous influence that suggestion has over our thoughts, behaviors, and even physical well-being. It serves as a reminder to be aware of the influences in our environment and to develop a resilient, optimistic outlook in order to fend off manipulation. We are constantly being inundated with suggestions which infiltrate our thoughts via taste, smell, touch, sound, and sight. Unless we can actively oppose its impact and develop a good mindset, we will always be its victims. Consider the promotion of patented medications, for example. These advertisements, which inundate us with pictures of people sneezing and hunched over in agony, are potent suggestion tools. These pictures sow the germ of disease in our thoughts, leading us to feel as though we have the conditions shown. When I was younger, I can still clearly remember reading scary newspaper articles about a new disease. The idea was so strong, I started to believe I was very sick. My anxieties were eventually allayed by my parents laughing, but I learned the value of suggestion from the experience. Even funny stories, such as the one about the man who thought he had every disease under the sun, except housemaid's knee after reading a medical book, have a kernel of truth to them. They demonstrate how quickly suggestions can influence us, frequently at the expense of our financial and physical well-being. Additionally, we are prone to mass suggestion, or the propensity to feel and think like the throng. People find it difficult to resist the influence of a charismatic leader who can easily win over a large group of people. This explains how normally reasonable people can fall victim to mob mentality and how peaceful people can commit violent crimes when they're with other people. Some individuals are more susceptible to suggestion than others. Individuals who are extremely sensitive and anxious are more susceptible unless they acquire the ability to build mental toughness. Though their sensitivity may make them feel inferior, when applied appropriately, advice can be quite beneficial. Temptation is another form of suggestion, a subtle and insidious one. It can be difficult to resist, even in our most noble moments. The key to overcoming temptation lies in constant vigilance, as the greatest teacher of all advised, "Watch and pray that ye enter not into temptation." Some even argue that almost everything in life is suggestion. They believe that poverty, illness, and problems result from accepting negative suggestions. To counteract this, they recommend autosuggestion, whispering affirmations of wealth, health, and abundance to oneself while falling asleep. While this may seem far-fetched, there's a kernel of truth in it. However, it's crucial to approach the subconscious mind with caution and respect. Many have suffered the consequences of reckless experiments conducted without knowledge or experience. The power of suggestion is real, and it's essential to wield it wisely. Chapter 4. Facing Your Fears. Imagine your life as clay, ready to be molded and shaped by your thoughts, just as a potter crafts a beautiful vessel. This analogy highlights the immense importance of right thinking in shaping our actions, character, and overall well-being. Our thoughts are the architects of our reality, influencing our decisions, actions, and ultimately, the outcomes we experience. When we embrace the right thinking, we gain the power to overcome harmful suggestions and negative influences. We realize that our circumstances are largely a reflection of our thoughts. If we allow ourselves to dwell on life's challenges and setbacks, we will inevitably struggle to overcome them in reality. However, When we confront and conquer these difficulties within our minds, we pave the way for real-world victories. It's not enough to simply avoid negative thoughts. We must actively engage with life's challenges, facing them head-on with courage and determination. This doesn't mean obsessing over problems, but rather approaching them with a problem-solving mindset. The key is to replace worry and fear with a proactive approach, seeking solutions and focusing on positive outcomes. The world is divided into two types of people: those who conquer life and those who are conquered by it. The difference lies in their thinking. Those who overcome life's challenges are those who have mastered their thoughts, while those who are defeated are often held back by their own negative thinking patterns. The secret to overcoming life's obstacles lies in the victory of thought. When we consistently conquer challenges within our minds, we develop a strong and resilient mindset. With a strong mind, we can overcome any obstacle that comes our way. The mind becomes powerful and grows in strength as it faces difficulties in thought. It advances towards the challenge, fueled by the full force of our will, and ultimately emerges victorious on the other side. This process of overcoming challenges in thought creates an internal power that accumulates over time. When we encounter difficulties in real life, this accumulated power empowers us to navigate them successfully. This is vastly different from worrying, which is destructive and only serves to amplify fear and create negative thought patterns. While we should not dwell on worries or imaginary fears, we must confront our challenges with courage and determination. We must never run away from them, as this is perhaps the most negative and destructive approach we can take. Instead, let us embrace the power of right thinking, shaping our lives with the skill and intention of a potter crafting a masterpiece. Those who refuse to face their difficulties and continually evade the issue are often the biggest worriers. Avoiding problems in your thoughts only amplifies them, creating more to worry about. It's crucial to understand that we must overcome challenges in our minds before we can triumph over them in reality. While the advice to forget your problems and think of pleasant things can be helpful when applied positively, it often has a negative impact. When used negatively, it weakens the will, robs you of initiative, and destroys your power to decide and act. Instead of avoiding the issue, when thoughts of an impending problem or difficulty arise, we should confront them with courage. Affirm your ability to overcome the challenge and emerge victorious. By consistently facing these thoughts with affirmations of power, overcoming, and victory, you will develop a powerful mental habit. When the time comes to face the difficulty in real life, you'll discover a newfound strength and resilience. This practice of confronting thoughts of failure, difficulty, or fear has a profound effect on the subconscious mind. It receives clear direction and understands what is expected of it. As a faithful servant, it won't let you down. These affirmations can take various forms, depending on your personal preferences. Some may find solace in biblical or devotional affirmations, while others may prefer a more psychological approach. Choose the form that resonates with you most, as it will be the most effective in the present moment. As you cultivate this habit of mentally confronting difficulties with a victorious mindset, your life will transform dramatically. Your character will improve beyond measure, and you'll find yourself overcoming challenges that once seemed insurmountable. New opportunities and possibilities will open up before you as you discover your ability to shape your character and, consequently, your life. For those who think in mental images, the nature of their lives and circumstances often depends on the character of those images. If these images are filled with problems and failures, it's essential to transform them into their positive opposites. By replacing mental images of failure, poverty, disaster, accident, illness, and death with images of success, prosperity, health, protection, and a happy life, you pave the way for these desirable states to manifest in your reality. Mental imagery is a powerful form of thought, and its correct cultivation is of utmost importance. It fosters a positive mental state and strengthens your character, making you capable of achieving things you previously thought impossible. Embrace the power of mental confrontation and watch as your life transforms into a tapestry of success, resilience, and unwavering confidence. Chapter 5. overcoming pessimism and embracing goodness. Do we inhabit a malevolent universe, victims of a cruel and capricious fate, or do we reside in an ordered cosmos where goodness and love are the underlying principles? It's a question that haunts us, and for many the answer leans towards the former, fueling subconscious fears and a pessimistic outlook, even if we outwardly appear otherwise. This inner pessimism casts a long shadow, influencing our lives in profound ways. As the saying goes, belief in evil tends to produce evil, belief in failure tends to produce failure, and so on. What we need is a fundamental shift in our beliefs, which will naturally lead to a transformation in our thoughts. The truth is, we live in an ordered universe even if we ourselves are not yet aligned with it. Our true environment is one of perfect order and harmony. The hidden law of life is love and cooperation. Renowned biologist Reinheimer teaches that in all of nature, both plant and animal, health and progress flourish when this law of cooperation is obeyed. Conversely, disease and disorder follow its violation when predatory or parasitic practices replace service and cooperation. To tap into this harmonious reality, we must first believe that we live in an ordered universe and that life is fundamentally based on love. We must also acknowledge that the cause of our own misfortunes or disorder lies within ourselves. We are not yet in harmony with life, nor are we living in obedience to its fundamental law. Harmony, peace, true success, and a worry-free life are only possible when we align ourselves with life, with the ordered universe in which we reside. As we work in accordance with the law of life and the universe, which is love and cooperative assistance, we will gradually create a world where the lion and the ox graze together and harm and destruction cease. This ideal state may seem distant, but those of us who know the truth can begin to live it here and now. By doing so, we will inevitably bring indescribable harmony and peace into our lives. We can give thanks every day for living in an ordered universe, pray to be in alignment with it, and think and act in accordance with its underlying principle of cooperation and helpful service. Our first thought in every circumstance should be, how can I help, rather than, what can I get out of this? This may seem foolish by worldly standards, but it is the highest wisdom, leading to a life of true harmony, satisfaction, and peace. Our individual world, the microcosm each of us inhabits, is a reflection of our mental life. We populate it with either hatred and discord or love and harmony, depending on our thoughts. Life is essentially good, even though it may contain disappointments and setbacks, many of which are of our own making. By aligning ourselves with the goodness of life and enduring its disciplines willingly, we can avoid many misfortunes and problems. In other words, we stop creating our own suffering. Life is a character builder, and by embracing its lessons we can create a life of joy, peace, and fulfillment. Chapter 6. The Mindset of Triumph. Those who achieve great success possess a unique mindset. While ambition, vision, drive, and a strong work ethic are undoubtedly important, their primary advantage lies in their thought patterns. They think in terms of success, achievement, abundance, and prosperity. Over time, life tends to reflect the thoughts we habitually entertain. If we consistently focus on success and prosperity, we will eventually manifest these qualities in our lives to the extent of our individual capabilities. While not everyone can reach the pinnacle of their field, each of us can ascend to the highest position our unique talents allow. With the exception of those who believe they can do anything and everything but ultimately excel at nothing, we can all achieve far more than we might imagine. We possess hidden abilities that lie dormant, waiting to be unleashed. Our capabilities expand as our responsibilities grow, and we often surprise ourselves with the power and skill that emerge to meet life's demands. In contrast, those who consistently struggle, despite their hard work and desire to succeed, often share a common mental habit. They think in terms of lack and failure. This mindset subtly influences their actions and decisions, leading to circumstances that perpetuate their struggles. Individuals with similar abilities can experience vastly different levels of success. While one may seem fortunate and the other unfortunate, the true cause of this disparity often lies in their minds. One possesses a fixed idea of success and achievement, which acts as a central point around which their thoughts revolve. The other is burdened by a fixed idea or fear of failure, which constantly undermines their efforts and saps their energy. While some may inherit a success mindset and others a failure mindset, this doesn't mean the latter are doomed to a life of underachievement. By consciously changing their thoughts, they can transform their fixed idea of failure into one of success. This shift in attitude redirects their thoughts, gradually changing their entire being. As they rise like a cork in water, instead of sinking like a stone, they reach new heights in their chosen profession or vocation. They discover ample space at the top, simply because so few utilize their minds constructively. They become one of the favored few, not by chance, but by harnessing the power of their minds as creative instruments rather than merely tools for routine tasks. True success isn't solely measured by money or fame. It's found in service, in the cooperative contributions we make to the world. This is where we discover genuine happiness and fulfillment, the essence of lasting success. While money and fame may bring temporary pleasure, they are hollow without the satisfaction that comes from helping others. Service and cooperation, combined with efficiency, make us indispensable in our chosen field. In the long run, the quality of our character speaks volumes. Those who prioritize personal gain over service and integrity may experience fleeting success, but they often face ruin and dishonor in the end. Therefore, our thoughts should not solely focus on personal achievement, but also on service and helping others. Instead of constantly asking, "What can I get out of this?" we should focus on how we can be of use to others. All solid success is built upon the degree of our usefulness to the community. The more valuable we become, the greater our rewards will be. Beyond this, thinking in terms of success and achievement, while maintaining a consciousness of abundance and prosperity, tends to attract these very things into our lives. Our minds are incredibly creative, and our thoughts attract things of a similar nature. We can either draw in opportunities for success and abundance, or create circumstances of failure and lack. The root of success comes from within our thinking. We need to teach our minds to think productively, rather than allowing them to wander aimlessly. While others squander their leisure time, we ought to deliberately occupy our minds with constructive, goal-oriented thought. When we have a constant ideal in our minds, it will come to mind naturally and effortlessly. This positive way of thinking drives us to work hard and strive, while others enjoy transient joys. This is a source of happiness rather than a burden. It reawakens our excitement and makes everything appear relatively simple. Opportunity will knock eventually, right when we need it most. This is as sure as the sun rising and setting. However, a word of caution: success can become our master, and we its slave. It's crucial to choose the highest form of success. Often, we don't have a choice, as our ambition is innate. Consider the story of a poor boy with a basic education who became an ordained missionary, a seemingly impossible feat for someone in his position. Whether he chose his vocation or it chose him, his life of service, sacrifice, and tireless work, despite the hardships, brought him true satisfaction. True success lies in service and in making the world a better place for others. When we find our success in this way, it doesn't matter if it becomes our master, because such servitude brings the greatest joy and fulfillment. These are the treasures that money can't buy, and that forever elude those who seek them solely through wealth and fame. Chapter 7. The Power of Thought in Health and Healing. Our thoughts play a far more significant role in our health than is commonly acknowledged. While hereditary factors, unhealthy diets, and lifestyle choices undoubtedly contribute, our thinking patterns are the most influential factor in determining our well-being. This includes our emotions, as they are triggered by our thoughts. However, we can learn to manage our emotional energy by training our minds to think differently, rather than succumbing to primitive desires or impulses. Often we are advised to stop dwelling on illness and discomfort, and instead focus on health, vitality, and well-being. This is sound advice, as dwelling on negativity can create a morbid condition that leads to illness. Thinking of ourselves as whole, healthy and full of life, joy, and energy can only be beneficial. While visualizing ourselves as the embodiment of perfect health and vitality is a positive first step, it's not the ideal method. There are more effective approaches we can adopt to improve our health. The roots of ill health run deep, and in this brief exploration, we cannot delve into a comprehensive study of the underlying causes of all diseases and disorders. However, we can highlight three fundamental emotional states that rob us of our health: sensuality, resentment, and anxiety. Sensuality, in particular, is a significant contributor to ill health. While the physical consequences of sensual behavior are well known, the detrimental effects of indulging in sensual or amorous thoughts are equally profound. These thoughts awaken desire, which generates emotional energy that must be repressed, often leading to various bodily disorders. Repressing or labeling all natural desires as perverse or impure is not the solution. The ideal approach is to rise above these thoughts, recognizing that sensuality is ultimately an illusion. We must remind ourselves that there are more important things in life than the pursuit of sensual pleasure. Instead of suppressing thoughts of a sexual nature, we should think beyond them. By doing so, we transmute our vital forces into higher intellectual and spiritual powers. Rather than repressing or wasting our life force and emotional energy, we utilize them for a higher purpose. This not only makes us healthier and stronger, but also nobler and greater in both mind and character. We become capable of greater resilience and achieve far more in life. We transcend the constraints of the senses and emotions when we open our brains to new ideas and concentrate on things that inspire and elevate us, such the wonders of nature, bravery, selfless lives, the huge universe, timeless truths, and our quest for knowledge. This change of perspective enhances our general health and well-being, in addition to our moral, intellectual, and spiritual gains. Our well-being and health are significantly influenced by our ideas and emotions. Although environmental factors, lifestyle choices, and genetics all play a part in determining our overall health, our mental and emotional states have a significant impact. Cultivating thoughts of goodwill, forgiveness, and compassion can be healing and preventative. Conversely, harboring hatred, resentment, prejudice, and vengeful thoughts can be detrimental to our health, as can anger, passion, and similar emotions. By choosing to foster positive emotions like goodwill, forgiveness, mercy, and acceptance, we create a harmonious internal environment that promotes well-being. These emotions help us align with the underlying purpose of life, which is to live in harmony with ourselves and others. While most of us may believe we've moved past hatred, it's essential to examine whether we've truly let go of all our grudges and resentments. These negative emotions, even if buried deep within our subconscious, can create disharmony that manifests as illness or disorder. Stress, worry, grief, anxiety, and similar mental states are significant contributors to various serious illnesses. Many ailments appear after periods of prolonged stress, anxiety, or emotional turmoil. Even illnesses primarily attributed to unhealthy habits like excessive alcohol consumption can be triggered or worsened by worry and mental distress. While right thinking or positive thinking cannot shield us from all of life's challenges, it can equip us to face them in a way that minimizes their negative impact on our health. Two individuals facing the same problem may experience vastly different outcomes based on their mental and emotional responses. One may succumb to illness and unhappiness, while the other may emerge stronger and more resilient. A crucial aspect of this work involves teaching individuals how to navigate life's challenges and emerge victorious. Medical professionals recognize the importance of a positive mindset in healing and disease prevention. When patients relax and maintain a positive attitude during difficult times, they recover faster and are less susceptible to illness. Right thinking acts as a preventative measure against disease and promotes healing by fostering a state of rest and peace within our minds. The root cause of all disorder lies in our separation from the divine order. If we could all achieve perfect alignment with the divine, we would experience no suffering or problems. Our suffering stems from our disharmony or misalignment with the perfect divine order. God does not punish us. Rather, Our own negative actions and thoughts create our suffering. Evil is its own punishment, and being separated from the divine order explains the root of our troubles. In modern terms, we must return from a life of separation in thought, desire, emotions, and affections to the center of all life, order, and harmony. This means cultivating a desire for unity with the divine and aligning our thoughts with this higher purpose. This may seem like an impossible task, but those who aspire to this unity receive help from a higher power. While forces of darkness may try to hinder our progress, there is one who has walked this path before us, who was tempted in the same way and yet achieved a great victory. As St. Paul said, "Not I, but Christ." This is the secret to success in controlling our thoughts and achieving true well-being. Chapter 8. The Magnetic Power of Thought. Deep psychological truths can be found in two well-known proverbs. "A man is known by the company he keeps," and "birds of a feather flock together." Our thoughts are a major factor in this attraction. The people and situations we draw into our lives are a direct result of the thoughts we have. Our inner selves become visible to the outside world as our thoughts get permanently carved onto our faces. Mostly, though, what pulls people to us is the magnetic force of our thoughts. Our ideas draw not only other like-minded people, but also related ideas, situations, and chances. Though creative, the human mind functions more as a conduit for ideas than as a producer of them. In our minds, there are two metaphorical doors. One leads to a stream of thoughts that are heavenly, good, beautiful, uplifting, healthy, and wholesome, while the other leads to a stream of thoughts that are undesired, crippling, and harmful. You can't have both doors open at the same time. A stream of comparable thoughts comes in when we entertain notions of purity, integrity, generosity, and other celestial virtues. This opens the door to heaven and all that is wonderful. That is the reason prayer is so important. Elevating one's thoughts, focus, emotions, and compassion toward the divine is known as prayer. A return flow or flood of divine life, thought, and ideas occurs in response. This holy infusion transforms those who stick with it, giving them a celestial perspective. The door that leads to unwanted ideas stays closed. Part of the door to negative ideas may open during the transition phase, allowing temptations to enter. Fighting against evil powers and attempting to aggressively seal this door, however, simply serves to widen it. Imitating the good and divine truth with our thoughts, attention, intellect, and heart is the only way to deal with this issue in a constructive way. The other door shuts once more when we focus on the divine. It swings open only because we become less focused on what is pure and good. The drawback of this is that the entrance to heavenly goodness closes if we let the door of feeble or wicked thinking to open. Heaven, in all its kindness, cannot assist us if we allow lesser things to take up our thoughts and attention. This is where the value of faith comes in. By raising our hearts and thoughts above our problems, we open the door to heaven, allowing an influx of new life, power, and goodness to flow within us, enabling us to overcome. However, as soon as we look down and dwell on our problems, the door to heaven closes, while the other door opens, allowing a stream of destructive thoughts to weaken us. By refusing to dwell on our problems and difficulties, and instead looking with faith towards heaven and thinking of divine perfection or reality, we are liberated in two ways. First, the spiritual source of problems is closed off, and second, we open ourselves to receive a constant stream of heavenly influences. We not only attract one of these two streams of thought and influence, but also create an atmosphere around ourselves, either attractive or repellent. This atmosphere, aura, or personal magnetism attracts or repels people and opportunities. To create an attractive atmosphere, we must feel goodwill towards those we encounter. We must be eager to serve and help, and we must have the right thoughts. Flattery is unnecessary and should be avoided. The key is to remember that regardless of our vocation or position, we are like magnets, attracting others through inner goodwill and kindness, not by obligation or against their will. We must attract others not to serve our own selfish ends, but to bless, help, and make them happy. Our goal should be to bless and serve. The lessons in this chapter could seem unrealistic or utopian to some people. Some could contend that as soon as someone starts to think morally and aim higher, they come under attack from forces that appear to be malevolent. There's more to the story, even though this may be accurate. Help comes from above for those who desire. Life, health, strength, and blessings come towards us each time we raise our gaze and think on a higher plane. No matter how strong the evil power that targets us is, we are given more strength by our elder brother than by it. This higher power is the one who can and does assist us in our endeavors to ascend to higher and better things, since he has gone before us, conquering and overcoming. Chapter 9. Achieving True Success and Spiritual Fulfillment. In this book I may have dwelled on material achievement, but my primary reason for doing so is our duty to serve our time and generation, and to be as great and useful in service as possible. I do not advocate for selfish success. Our ambition should not be about how much we can get, but how much we can give in service to the world. The success and achievement I champion do not necessarily involve accumulating wealth or status. They can mean dedicating one's life to missionary work or other forms of selflessness and devotion to others. Regardless of our chosen path, the power and control of thought are of paramount importance. A young person can become a missionary despite opposition and discouragement, simply because their mind is steadfast and their thoughts are focused on the goal of their ambition. Seemingly insurmountable difficulties are overcome when thoughts are directed and concentrated on a specific objective. If their mind were to waver and their thoughts to wander, they would never achieve their ambition. It's important to note that if we wholeheartedly pursue success, it eventually becomes our master. Initially, success may seem elusive, driving us to greater lengths, demanding constant self-denial and sacrifice. Eventually, we find ourselves committed to a life filled with responsibilities and a certain level of importance, from which we cannot retreat without losing our dignity. At this point, we discover that success, instead of being our servant, has become our master, and we its slave. Therefore, it's important to set limits on our material ambitions. However, there's no reason to limit our spiritual aspirations. If we succeed in our pursuit of God, only joy awaits us when we discover that success has become our servant and we its master. It's not widely recognized that a high degree of spiritual attainment is impossible without thought control. Brother Lawrence, the great exponent of the practice of the presence of God, is a prime example. This humble servant of God, who worked daily among pots and pans in a monastery kitchen, discovered that by training his thoughts to always flow towards his Lord, he became constantly aware of his presence. Brother Lawrence made a revealing observation. He felt more conscious of the divine presence while washing greasy pots and pans than when he was in his cell engaged in devotional exercises. His understanding became crystal clear in that moment. This humble and unassuming brother became a saint, though not officially recognized as one, and a teacher to many simply by directing his thoughts towards God and persevering despite their tendency to wander. We too can genuinely pray and achieve spiritual growth by harnessing the power of our thoughts and aligning them with the divine. When we gain control over our thoughts and direct our attention towards the divine, we create a ladder upon which our thoughts and affections can ascend to a higher plane. Thought control is essentially focusing our attention on a specific object and holding it there. When our attention is fixed on the divine, our thoughts naturally climb the ladder we have built. For those whose attention and thought control are weak, repeating prayers can be a helpful starting point. While not as powerful as formulating your own prayers, it's a step in the right direction. Saying or repeating prayers creates a connection between ourselves and the divine, a link that others who never make such an attempt lack. However, truly directing our attention and thoughts towards the divine is a far greater endeavor. It's a spiritual exercise of the highest order, but it's not easy. Until our thoughts are disciplined, they tend to wander. The worries and ambitions of life often pull our attention away, leading us to focus on material concerns rather than spiritual matters. We must repeatedly bring our thoughts back to the divine until it becomes a habit, enabling true prayer. There are many levels of prayer: supplication, praise, thanksgiving, meditation, and contemplation. The latter two are advanced forms, only possible with a near-perfect degree of thought control. Mastering our thoughts isn't just necessary during prayer. It's equally important throughout the day as we deal with the mundane aspects of life. We can all share in the experience of Brother Lawrence, who discovered that his ordinary, disliked work became enjoyable through the divine presence. Tasks that once seemed difficult and overwhelming became manageable once he learned to let the Lord help him through his presence. By frequently turning our thoughts and aspirations towards the divine, we receive tremendous help and strength. Even our work, which may be unpleasant in itself, can be transformed and made enjoyable through the realization that it's a service of love to our fellow beings. We become aware of a new companionship. We are not alone, as there is someone with us, helping us to make life more noble and to become more faithful workers and servants. The result of this practice is the development of a new and finer character, one that is eternal because character never dies. We become entirely new creatures. We may not be religious or saintly in the conventional sense, but we become nobler, truer, and finer individuals, for whom the world will have reason to be grateful. The inner or spiritual life is very real. Two individuals may awaken spiritually and desire to live a more noble and elevated life. One may succeed, while the other, after a hard struggle, may revert to their old ways. The difference lies in their ability to keep the flame of their inner life alive. The one who succeeds perseveres in true prayer, directing their thoughts towards God and continually elevating them to higher and better things. The other neglects prayer and fails to maintain control over their thoughts, causing their spiritual life to wither and die from lack of nourishment. Temptation then floods in, and the battle becomes too much for the one who is not fortified by prayer. They give up and return to their old life, simply because it seems impossible to do otherwise. The fault lies not in the strength of temptation, but in the individual's isolation from the sole source of infinite power due to their neglect of prayer and lack of perseverance in controlling their thoughts. The importance of training our thoughts to turn away from unworthy things and towards those that are noble, true, beautiful, and worthwhile cannot be overstated. It is no wonder that books are written and magazines published on this very subject. Chapter 10. The Fearless Mind. Fear is a formidable force, responsible for more misfortunes in our lives than we often realize. Those who lack fear seem to enjoy a special kind of protection. A dog, for instance, won't attack someone who shows no fear. Even in dangerous sports, the more fearless and daring one is, the more likely they are to emerge unscathed. Consider the story of Daniel in the lion's den. The lions couldn't harm him simply because he was fearless. It was only necessary for the Lord to remove all fear from him for Daniel to be perfectly safe. Missionaries have shared similar experiences when facing hostile crowds. Their fearlessness allowed them to walk unharmed into what seemed like certain death. This absence of fear isn't just protection against physical dangers, it also shields us from infection and disease. Napoleon famously visited plague victims to demonstrate that the disease couldn't affect those who didn't fear it. I once knew a man who regularly visited smallpox and plague hospitals, but never contracted either disease, despite kneeling and praying by patients' beds, inhaling countless microbes. His only safeguard was his mindset. He refused to believe that germs could harm him. He trusted in God, and therefore had no fear. This demonstrates that it's not always the microbes themselves that make us susceptible to illness, but rather a fearful mindset. Two people exposed to the same infection may have different outcomes. While one may fall ill, the other remains unaffected. While we might attribute this to robustness or a stronger immune system, it's often the power of the mind that plays a crucial role. Those with a more positive mindset tend to be more immune. Given the importance of fearlessness, how can we overcome our inherent fears? Most of us harbor some form of fear, whether it's fear of failure, illness, or something else lurking in the shadows of our minds. To conquer these fears, we can adopt a similar approach to comforting a child afraid of the dark. First, we reassure ourselves that there's nothing to fear. Then, we can reason with ourselves, reminding ourselves that the world is the same whether it's dark or light, and that the things we fear exist only in our minds. If that's not enough, we can invoke a sense of divine protection, reminding ourselves that we are not alone. We can affirm that there's nothing in the universe that can truly harm us. This isn't empty boasting, but an affirmation of truth. By aligning ourselves with the divine order of the universe, we tap into a power that nothing can destroy. We are backed by the full force of hidden divine forces, propelling us towards the glorious fulfillment designed for us. If these affirmations seem too advanced or abstract, we can choose our own words that resonate with us. The key is to follow the same process. First, acknowledge the fear, then replace it with a positive affirmation. We can also invoke and realize the presence of the Almighty and Eternal. There is one who has overcome the world and defeated all the powers of evil, who has glorified humanity and opened the way for us through self-sacrifice. He has promised, "I will not leave you comfortless," and "Lo, I am with you always, even to the end of the age." By turning our thoughts towards this higher power and embracing the truth of our divine connection, we can overcome our fears and live a life of courage, resilience, and unwavering faith. Chapter 11. A Path to True Fulfillment. In this book, I may have emphasized material achievement, but my primary reason is to inspire you to serve your time and generation with greatness and usefulness. I don't advocate for selfish success. Our ambition should be focused on how much we can contribute to the world, not just on what we can gain. True success and achievement aren't solely about money or status. They can mean dedicating your life to serving others through missionary work or other forms of selflessness and devotion. Regardless of your chosen path, the power and control of thought are crucial. A young person can become a missionary despite opposition and discouragement, simply because their mind is unwavering and their thoughts are focused on their goal. Seemingly insurmountable difficulties are overcome when thoughts are directed and concentrated on a specific objective. If their mind were to waver and their thoughts to wander, they would never achieve their ambition. It's important to note that if we wholeheartedly pursue success, it can become our master. Initially, success may seem elusive, driving us to greater lengths, demanding constant self-denial and sacrifice. Eventually, we may find ourselves committed to a life filled with responsibilities from which we cannot retreat without losing our dignity. At this point, success, instead of being our servant, has become our master, and we its slave. Therefore, it's important to set limits on our material ambitions. However, there's no reason to limit our spiritual aspirations. If we succeed in our pursuit of God, only joy awaits us when we discover that success has become our servant, and we its master. It's not widely recognized that a high degree of spiritual attainment is impossible without thought control. Brother Lawrence, the great exponent of the practice of the presence of God, is a prime example. This humble servant of God, who worked daily among pots and pans in a monastery kitchen, discovered that by training his thoughts to always flow towards his Lord, he became constantly aware of his presence. Brother Lawrence made a revealing observation. He felt more conscious of the divine presence while washing greasy pots and pans than when he was in his cell engaged in devotional exercises. His understanding became crystal clear in that moment. This humble and unassuming brother became a saint, though not officially recognized as one, and a teacher to many, simply by directing his thoughts towards God and persevering despite their tendency to wander. We too can genuinely pray and achieve spiritual growth by harnessing the power of our thoughts and aligning them with the divine. Chapter 12. Mastering thought control and transforming your life. It's natural to think that once we discover the immense power of thought, we can simply wield it as we please. However, this is a grave misconception. Thought is so potent, and its effects so far-reaching, that we must train our thoughts to align with the inner laws of the universe. We are each part of a greater whole, with God as our Father or center, and every person as our sibling. We are servants to one another, and until we realize this, we cannot be in harmony with life and the universe, not only in our actions, but also in our thoughts. If we have a flawed understanding of life, all our thoughts will naturally be flawed as well. Just as we can only conquer nature by obeying its laws, we can only conquer life by obeying its laws. If our thoughts are not in harmony with the purpose of life, we become like blemishes on the cosmic body. Only when we become brothers and sisters to humanity, living in tune with the laws of life and the grand scheme of the universe, can we experience true harmony within ourselves. Only then can our lives reach their full potential in the highest sense of the word. It's possible to demand from life and get what we want. This leads to success, achieved through hard work and sacrifice. We all have to pay for our achievements. Those unwilling to pay cannot achieve anything. It's precisely because achievements demand so much from us, in terms of character, patience, perseverance, and sacrifice, that they are valuable as character builders. Maintaining success and remaining uncorrupted by it requires even greater qualities of character than achieving it in the first place. However, all these achievements cannot bring happiness or harmony if they are demanded from life selfishly, without considering others or God. There can be no happiness, peace, or harmony if we demand from life with a self-centered attitude. There may be a time in our lives when it seems like everything is in our hands and we are masters of our destiny, captains of our souls. This can spur us to achieve and conquer, leading to experiences that prepare us for greater things. This is all good, but sooner or later, we realize that while we are, in a sense, masters of our destiny, there is a divine power shaping our ends. There is an inner harmony to which we must correspond. We belong to a greater whole, in which we occupy a place and of which we are a part. We can only enter into harmony with this whole by becoming less selfish and more universal. In other words, we must love God and love our neighbor, and instead of imposing our will on life, instead of becoming a center around which everything else must revolve, instead of demanding and compelling, we must love and serve God and humanity, life and the world, to enter into the harmony of the whole. The inner law of life is love, but it's better understood as cooperation. To the extent that we think, act, and feel in accordance with this law, we find true happiness, peace, satisfaction, and things more precious than gold, things that no wealth can buy. This is why we must train ourselves to have thoughts of goodwill instead of hatred and resentment, of cooperation instead of selfish acquisition, of service instead of personal gain. Only then can we become brothers and sisters to humanity, and only by becoming brothers and sisters to humanity can we enter into harmony or a state of unity with the inner harmony that is divine. We live in an ordered universe because behind the disorder of life's surface lies a divine inner order. This divine order would find its external expression if every person were in harmony with it. But the ego stands in the way. Love, goodwill, and cooperation are the keys through which each individual can access that inner harmony and order. By finding our own entrance to this harmony, we make it easier for our fellow beings to find their way as well. Conclusion. This audiobook has revealed us a profound and transformative truth. Our minds have the power to shape our reality. Through Hamblin's work, we understand that our thoughts and beliefs not only influence the quality of our lives, but are also the key to unlocking a future full of possibilities. By adopting a positive and constructive mindset, we can attract what we truly desire into our lives and achieve our goals more effectively. This book not only provides inspiration, but also practical tools for those looking to improve their circumstances and discover the unlimited potential of their minds. Ultimately, the power of thought invites us to take control of our inner life, thereby creating a happier, more successful and fulfilling existence.